All right, is this working?
Let me check.
So streaming,
Yeah,
so
you're live. Yeah,
cool.
I can see you on my other monitor.
All right, cool. So, yes, hello everyone. Today going to be responding to a few different things. Monhop decided to also hop in because for one of the things I'm going to be responding to, namely this article by Adam Heyman. Do you wanna say hello to the people, Monhop?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me on again, Zulu. Always fun times. And yeah, quick plug. Obviously, we're doing the podcast now, the Remnant, or the Space slash podcast, I guess. Come check it out. We'll be doing that kind of. I'm going to keep using the word fortnightly because screw these Americans. Um, so we're going to be doing that fortnightly on kind of Friday nights for American time. So it's going to be good stuff. So, but yeah, keen to hop into this stuff because I've been going back and forth, or not even really back and forth, but I've been trying to get this guy to respond to me
Back.
and actually give me an argument a couple of times, and he hasn't. So I want to jump into this a bit more, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it basically on Twitter, the Re-Razor account. After my video, this was his first article. I've got all three of them put up here. I don't know. I probably won't go over the David Friedman apology one because I don't really give much of a shit about that one. But yeah, he's got these two ones are the main ones, which is misunderstanding the NEP, Liquid Zulu attacks Dave Smith and punches himself in the face, and then the second one, which is David Friedman, Liquid Zulu, and the two errors in understanding the non-aggression principle. And we're going to get into that.
I seen we got asked in chat if we're going to become, now that we're becoming podcasters, are we also going to become comedians? Unfortunately, I'm not very funny, but apparently that doesn't necessarily
It's
matter.
not
You can still become a
disqualifying.
comedian. Yeah, apparently. Because apparently, if you ask someone what their favorite libertarian podcaster's joke is, that's actually pretty offensive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, I'm going to make the much rarer political commentator into comedian pivot. I think that's the way my career is going to go. But I did just see Rudier W. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Yeah, that's
oh yeah.
let's get into this. So, I mean, this first one, misunderstanding the NEP, Liquid Zulu attacks Dave Smith and punches himself in the face. Just on the face of it, this is a terrible article. And I feel perfectly fine saying that because I told this to him, to his face. My very severe criticism of this article is that it doesn't actually address my argument. It basically, in my celebritarian video, I have this thesis, which is, yeah, you should be an NEP absolutist. You should not steal, even if it would save the world or whatever. Right? That I said that is my thesis, and then I said, okay, I actually prove the NEP elsewhere. I prove my NEP absolutism in this other video. But what he does in this article, he just takes this thesis statement and just imagines arguments again for it and starts imagining what I might say about it rather than actually going to where I make the argument. I read this one. I haven't read his other one where apparently he said on the Austrian Econ Discord server that he's actually bothered to look at my argument this time, so maybe that will be more fulfilling. But yeah, I just want to go over this one quickly, and we'll see what's up, whether I've actually already preempted any of these things.
Yeah, that the first, and Frax Ben said the same thing. He's like, this essay is just really bad. Like, I'm sorry. It takes one citation there's one citation in the entire essay or article that links to, that you've already, gone over that thesis statement in the anatomy of the celebritarian video, and then treats that as the entire thesis, and it's completely taken out of context. And compare that to anatomy of the celebritarian, where it's a 3.5 hour video with literally over 100 citations. It's just in pure scholarship terms, like forgetting about the actual argument itself, it's not like good scholarship. It's not good work as far as combing through and actually formulating, understanding someone's argument and then actually responding to it. It's just like, oh, let me take this out of context, quote, and then, as you said, just make up arguments that maybe this guy will may have theoretically argued for at some point. I don't know. It's really, really just on its face, not a good essay, just in terms of like the scholarship and quality of it, regardless of the actual contents.
Yeah, absolutely. Admetos, thank you very much for the $10 Australian. Going to make it rain a little. It's been a while, indeed. Yes, I'm going to get back into these more regular streams now that I'm not so busy with the Celebritarian video. But yeah, so that's kind of where the meat of the article starts. It's just like, oh, I watched this video and I'm not sure what he was doing, blah, blah, blah. So who cares about any of that? But yeah, so here's the real meat of it. It starts with me saying, give it a shot, Dave. Ask me any hardcore NEP question and watch me bite the bullet like they're incapable of doing. Watch me tell people to their face that they should not steal a penny to stop the Martians from blowing up the entire planet. So first of all, the context of this quote is that Dave was completely unwilling and incapable of biting any bullets, whilst calling himself the most consistent motherfucker you know. That I hold this thesis. I don't even have to argue for this thesis here. That I do indeed hold this thesis is already ample proof of my point that Dave is not the most consistent motherfucker you know. I am the most consistent motherfucker you know. Alright? I deserve that title infinitely more than Dave does, because Dave wasn't even able to bite the bullet on fucking conscription being bad. That's what this thesis is being used to evidence. Right? So I don't have to even argue for that thesis in this video. In fact, I say, look, it's a very long proof. Go off and watch it in this other video. And as you can see, he doesn't bother to do that at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, no, I thought you were going to keep going there. Sorry. No, real quick. Yeah, I mean, I think as well, it's this frustration I have with people like saying that they're a masochist for sitting through a 3.5-hour video. Okay, the guy's clearly read Legal Foundations of a Free Society. I have a copy of that book, by the way. It's really good. It's also like 600 pages long. Okay, it's a really fucking long book that takes a long time to get through. So, this complaining about how long Liquid Zulu's video is and it's so difficult to get through and why did he bother doing all this work? It's like, well, read anything in the Austrian canon or the libertarian legal theory canon. It's going to take you a long time to get through. So I actually think Zulu's video, by comparison, is pretty short.
Yeah, it's literally as concise as you can make that point. I made it as concise as possible. And I did this all over the fucking place. Like my course, like it'll take you a little bit to get through it, but it's way more concise than me saying, okay, read all these like 30 dozen books, and then you can, like I've condensed it down, right? There's no repetition really. It is a very straightforward progression of the thesis statement, explaining the concept of the cargo cults, elaborating upon that, giving the history of the two sorts of pragmatism, explaining what pragmatism is and why it's false, and then showing the failures over and over and over again of what it leads the neoprags to. Yeah, I don't think that, and none of these people who are like, oh, but it's 3.5 hours long, who, by the way, were all cheering that fucking Scott Horton had a 10-hour podcast on Lex Friedman like a few months ago or something. None of them have pointed to a single bit of fat in the video. I've asked some of them. Nobody has gone, okay, yeah, cut out this whole section. In fact, the one criticism I've heard, which I actually agree with, was from, what's his face, Fountainhead Forum. He said that I should have actually included something else, which was a whole debacle in, what was it, Arizona or Colorado, where Blake Masters was being pushed, who is not a libertarian, who was being pushed ahead of like an actual libertarian who like sued the state of Hawaii to get rid of their mask mandates. Like, I didn't know about that. That's the only reason I didn't include it. And if I did know about it, then I absolutely would have included it. So that's the one legitimate criticism I've heard, which is that the video in fact wasn't long enough. But yeah, thank you very much, Zlef Null, for the $7 Canadian. Thank you for converting me away from being a praggot. And indeed, I get many messages, and thank you again for the money. I get many messages like this since I've dropped the video I have received oodles of messages from Dave Smith supporters who were previously pragmatists and who didn't know that there was even a dispute here, right? I need to show people that there is this dispute here so that people can actually acknowledge it and then come to a real conclusion on what they believe. You know, maybe you do watch the video and you're still a pragmatist afterwards. Okay, then we can debate that. But the debate wasn't even happening before. And that's why I really, you know, a lot of people are like, why are you being so, like, you know, rowdy about this on Twitter? Like, I need to show people, bring this debate to their attention, or else it doesn't happen. And whatever you want to say about me, you can't say that I didn't make this fucking debate happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. And as you said, these people will complain about how long a video is, but then, you know, oh, Dave Smith went on trigonometry to talk about Israel-Palestine again. I can't wait to watch 2.5 hours of that, you know. Oh, well, you know, what's he going to talk about this time? Maybe, I don't know, the 4-star General Wesley Clark, who read a memo one time. Yeah, oh my God, this is groundbreaking stuff that I haven't heard before. No, it's ridiculous. Like, this is, as you said, this is a novel argument. I mean, some of this stuff, you know, was news to me when I was reading through it, like watching it. I suppose the proofs that you offered of pragmatism and all that stuff. I didn't know this stuff. So there's actually some novel info here, even for someone who's like followed your content for years. So, you know, we're actually, you know, as you said, breaking new ground here as far as the actual debate being, you know, synthesized and formalized as far as what the two camps are in the liberty movement at the moment. That's really important work to do. So, as compared to, oh, let's talk about, you know, why it's bad that Israel is, you know, bombing Palestinians for the 15th time on, you know, a new podcast.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you very much for the $10 none your business, who says Zal Zulu. Indeed, Zal Zulu. But yeah, so let's get into this. Well, that statement is just nuts, folks, and it's also a huge misunderstanding of the non-aggression principle. It's like, okay, well, it's just fucking so nuts. Like, let's see him show how nuts it is, or will we just get the same thing we always hear?
Goofy, man.
It's just real goofy, man.
Goofy, man.
It's just so goofy. Yeah, are we just going to get the same bullshit that I've responded to a million times, where it's like he just gives some reductio ad absurdum, and it's like, look how crazy that is, without actually showing how I'm contradicting myself. It's like, okay, yes, I bite the bullet though. You already said, the whole point of this article is that I do bite the bullet. So you can't just say, well, here's another bullet for you. It's like, oh, wow, great. Yum, yum, yum. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'm bothered by these people, sorry. I'm bothered by these people who construct an absurd hypothetical like, you know, the Martians blowing up the Earth unless someone steals a penny. Because it's like, well, okay, that's not going to happen. Or, you know, the latter hypothetical where, you know, your neighbor really hates you so much that he's not even willing to let you borrow his ladder to save your own grandmother. Like, okay, that's also never happened. And so they create this absurd hypothetical and then a surprise when an absurd conclusion pops out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, like, what were you expecting? Like, yeah, you specifically set up a hypothetical whose entire point was to make following the principle as difficult as possible or as counterintuitive as possible. And then you're surprised that it leads to a counterintuitive argument or outcome. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, if you can do this for literally any ethic, unless you're just going to be inconsistent. Like, sure, if you're inconsistent, but then even if you are inconsistent, well, then we can start constructing reductions against you. Like, for instance, I believe he goes over this in the article. Yeah, the punishment's going to be slight. Don't worry, guys. I'll just accept the punishment. I'll just do the thing and then accept the punishment. It's okay. So you like constructing reductions ad absurdum, do you, Adam Hammond? Well, let's construct a reduction ad absurdum against that. Okay, I want to rape every third child, and I want to blow up New York with a nuclear bomb, and I want to call the Martians in to start culling the human population by 50% every 12 years. That's what I want to do. But don't worry, guys. This is all fine. This is all perfectly libertarian, because I'll accept the punishment. Does that suddenly make it all right that I did that? No. The fact that there was a punishment means that it wasn't okay to do. If you think it's okay to do that, you should argue that there shouldn't be a punishment. And also, just real quick, he says before that, LiquidZool's error is to insist that legality is identical to morality. That isn't remotely true. Indeed, it's not remotely true that my error is to insist that legality is identical to morality, because I've never once done that in my entire life. You cannot find a single clip of me saying that there is an identity between legality and morality. I have always said, every single time this gets brought up, I say, law is a subset of ethics. I don't say law is ethics. Never in my life have I said that, and I pointed this out to him, and he's like, "Okay, I checked." And he doesn't actually acknowledge that he just lied about my position there.
Yeah, no, so a couple of things here. So I pointed out in a post that I made about it, I said that, like, Zulu, you have a few like phrases or turns of phrase that are like been beaten into my head over years and years of watching your content. And law is a subset of ethics is one of them. Okay, I can't count.
Mhm.
Couldn't imagine trying to count up how many times you've said that to me, and this or said that in a video. And the second thing is, I did a quick test before we jumped on here, like about 10 minutes ago, where I opened your course and timed how long it took me to find where you say law is a subset of ethics. It's 12 seconds. Okay, I had to scroll through your website for exactly 12 seconds to see the point where you say law as a subset of ethics in big bold fuck off like headline writing at the top of the first segment of your course. So this dude couldn't be bothered to do 12 seconds of research. The 12 seconds of research that it would have taken him to figure out that actually you don't think that legality and morality are one and the same.
Mhm.
No one thinks that. It's a libertarian, and this is the last thing I'll say about this particular point. The people that like prance around and talk about law and like morality in general are two separate fields. It's like, yeah, everyone knows that. This is the libertarianism 101 issue. Okay, this is basically like the first thing after I figured out that I agreed with the NAP. The second thing I figured out was that, oh, but it doesn't tell me everything there is to know about ethics. It's like not a unique or compelling point to make. Everyone really knows this. It's been in libertarianism for more than 5 seconds. So, it's a very frustrating thing that people keep bringing up, as if someone who's been studying this field for years is going to make a silly error like conflating the law with morality in general.
Absolutely. From Brer Boy for $3 Australian are Siamese twins who share who share organs group property. So I don't think that is a instance of group property. So, for instance, different organs will be one twin will be dominant over that organ for a lot of the cases. Like, the right twin might control the right arm fully, and then they would own that arm fully. Now, for some of them, that neither twin is dominant, like maybe the heart or whatever. I think that is in a stalemate scenario. You can see me expound on stalemate scenarios in the course on the part in what's it about homesteading, right? So in that case, it would be effectively like a dual guardianship where one isn't allowed to like destroy the heart. They can do anything they want to preserve the heart, but they can't destroy the heart. So that's how I think that works out. I don't think it is group property though, because I think that's a impossibility. I think it's a contradiction. All right. Sorry, Andreas Talk says this is kindergarten stuff. How can people even listen to Zulu? This is so boring. Okay, let's check out your channel real quick. Andreas Tank. Ooh, wow, 62 views, 473 views. So boring, right? So most popular video of all time talking about me. I'm so boring. I'm so boring that you had to talk about me and make your most popular video ever. Great.
I'll see another super chat pop up. And I want to talk about it quickly. So, as well, just about Heyman in general.
Mm.
Did you want to read out the super chat?
Sure, yeah. So Heyman and Bob Murphy did a couple episodes on borders. They even had Hornberger on. Heyman's argument for the border were a twisted struggle. Yeah, I did watch all of those. I didn't include all of them in the video though. Yeah, but did you want to cover that then?
No, so my thing is, this guy Heyman seems like a nice enough guy in general from what I've seen on the podcast and stuff. So we are going to go pretty hard on him, and rightfully so. But seems like a nice enough guy. But I wanted to bring up that one of my criticisms of him and of Bob Murphy in general is this fence sitting, and then simultaneously also like spending these podcasts more or less trying to fix up Dave's arguments. Like they go, like the number of people, like I've seen several different content creators, that we both know, go on podcasts and just basically spend all this time like trying to fix up Dave's errors as he goes around, like, destroying. It's like someone trying to pick up after a toddler that's breaking shit all over the place and be like, oh, actually, this is what he meant. I promise he didn't actually mean, that you're all as bad as communists and Nazis. What he really meant was something that he's never actually said before.
Mm.
And I see this with the Heyman and Bob Murphy podcast. It's like, why does this like huge, the most important libertarian content creator, podcaster, comedian on the face of the planet need all these people to spend all this time like fixing up his arguments for him? I've never felt the need to do that for Zulu, as far as unless someone is like deliberately misunderstanding you. I've never felt the need to be like, oh, actually, this is what Zulu meant, and then basically make an argument that I've never actually seen you make before. But that's what these people feel the need to do with Dave, is just like to make up new arguments that he's never actually said in order to, protect him for one reason or another.
Yeah, it's all just trying to run cover for Dave. Any one of these podcasts you see where they're talking about, pardon me, where they're talking about any debate Dave has had, you go on to it and you watch it, and it's just, oh, when he said that, he actually means this, and when he said this, he actually means that, and just trying to run cover for him. Like 9 times out of 10, that is the case, and that's like vast majority of things that I've seen, like highlight in the video, and that I've seen in response to the video. It's just running cover for Dave. Yeah. Anyway.
100%.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean this article, I think we pretty much covered this one at the very least, because there's very little of substance here, because it doesn't actually respond to me.
But yeah, and my biggest frustration is I wanted to bring up something as well, because yeah, this guy has responded to me a couple of times. The first one was just to ask me because I basically said that he was disrespectful to you because of how he handled, because of the fact that he took you out of context and basically just really didn't handle or didn't acknowledge your level of expertise on this topic. And his only reply to me was to say, I bet so you must have felt really bad or about how disrespectful Zulu was to Dave. And I basically just said, well, no, because for all the reasons that Zulu outlined in the video that I agree with, I do not feel bad about how Zulu treated Dave whatsoever. So, and I gave him more context as to like the background here. It's like, it's not like, Zulu and Dave had one interaction on Twitter and then suddenly Zulu like pumped out this 3-hour video calling him a fuckhead. It's like, no, this has been going on for 2 years now, where we've been making these arguments and we've repeatedly been sidelined. And so this is the culmination, or not the culmination, but the next step, the next escalation in this ongoing beef between, our faction and Dave's faction. And the number of people I've seen like jump in and be like, oh, why are you so anti-Dave? It's like, well, if you knew the context, you'd know why. That's my frustration. These people jump in with no context and are like, oh, why is Zulu pumping out this 3-hour video? He must be super offended. It's like, well, forget 3 hours. This has been going on for years now, and we don't feel like we've had the respect that we deserve on this particular issue.
Yeah, and that's like what I enumerated in the part where Dave Smith refuses to beat me. That part of the video, right? I was enumerating all of the ways in which, like, hey, he'll debate any old slog, he'll drag up anybody from the loser brigade and debate them, but he won't debate any of us. Like, not one instance where he debates an actual radical open borders libertarian, right? And this is why I call it controlled opposition, right? In the video. I'm saying that Dave is perfectly, he wants these completely loserty people who don't know how to make arguments, but he will not at all debate any of us, and that's the point I'm making the video. But yeah, I do want to have a quick correction, because apparently the German ANCAP YouTuber, who that was only his English channel, so let's check in on his German channel, and I just want to highlight for the people in the audience here. And this blue line, that's my channel's views. This red line, that's his views. You notice my one, 127,000 in the past month. His one, 38.4 thousand. I want you guys to, maybe get a calculator out and see which one of those is bigger. Okay, so still.
Yeah, and just on that as well, the Narasta debate as well, where Dave, after that debate, I can distinctly recall Dave. I don't have the receipt for this, unfortunately, but so you're gonna have to take my word for it. But Dave, at one point, like someone asked him if he was going to debate, someone else on the issue. I don't know whether it was you or someone else, but and he was like, "No, I've debated Cato's top guy. Like, I feel like I've covered this off." It's like, well, no, you haven't, because Alex Narasta isn't even for fully, unrestricted immigration. He even admits it as such in the debate. And to go one step further, Dave even uses the fact that he knows that Alex isn't a fully open borders libertarian in order to criticize him, because he basically points out that he's inconsistent, because he's like, well, he basically says something along the lines of, Alex will argue as if he's for fully open borders, but he isn't actually, and that demonstrates that borders are like a different question or whatever. I was like, that's actually not a terrible argument. I'll give him credit on that, because he is kind of showing, as much as we show that Dave is inconsistent, he shows that the Cato guys are inconsistent. But that's all to say that he knows that this isn't the maximally unrestricted immigration position that he's argued against that's coming out of these Cato guys. And he also knows that these Cato guys are GDP go up fucking classical liberal types that don't actually offer the consistent libertarian, grounded in the non-aggression principle argument for open borders. He knows all this. So it's not that he's like never been confronted with, or he's unaware of this ulterior argument. He knows that this argument exists. He just refuses to confront it because of, make up whatever reason you want for why that might be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's not like he's never encountered any of us before. It's that he refuses to engage with us. Yeah, anyway, so let's check out this new article, which I haven't actually read yet, which is David Friedman, Liquid Zulu, and 2 Errors in Understanding the Non-Aggression Principle. Yeah, okay, so, pardon me. I'm bigger, so I'm right. What the hell? No, I'm bigger, so clearly his argument, like, oh my god, this is so boring. Who the hell would watch this? That's wrong. Okay, so, of course, steal the penny, save the earth. You committed a crime, so prepare for the legal consequences. Again, I just raped them, so I'm just going to prepare for the legal consequences, and it's all okay. I would hope both the victim and judge would take the extenuating circumstances into consideration. If not, so be it. Law and morality are not necessarily identical in all cases. Never fucking said they were. Liquid Zulu saw my post and complained that I ignored a different video. Not just that, not that you ignored a different video, that I explicitly point to that different video in the celebritarian video and say, this is where I give my argument. So you looked at a thesis statement and didn't look at the argument for that thesis statement. It would be as if I just looked at the top of this article and said, David Friedman and Liquid Zulu and 2 Errors in Understanding the Non-Aggression Principle. Oh, so he thinks I misunderstand the non-aggression principle, and then just started rattling off things that I think he might have said in arguing that I misunderstand the non-aggression principle, rather than actually looking at the article. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll just argue against this thesis statement. How about? That is what you did. It's not just that you ignored a different video, right? That is the problem. It's that you ignored a different video which contained the argument, and I said as much. Fair enough. I checked out that video. You can as well if you like. Here, the relevant section begins around the 1 hour and 25 minutes mark. It's a good video and I agree with much of it. Well, thank you very much. But I also agree that Liquid Zulu has made an error in his understanding of the non-aggression principle and what it is. Okay, so 2 hours about the NEP, rejects the NEP entirely. Well, okay, so he's talking about David Friedman there.
I don't really care about this. Is all the whole David Friedman part that we don't actually really care about.
I mean, I absolutely agree that David Friedman rejects the non-aggression principle. He has no... Yeah. He's explicit about this, right?
Yeah, I've only briefly skimmed the third essay. I like barely skimmed it, like just scrolled through it to see if you were mentioned at all, and then I saw it wasn't really about you, so I kind of ignored it after that. I'm confused because it seems like he was apologizing to to Friedman for some reason, and I'm confused as to what I mean. Again, I need to actually read it to find out why. But just on its face, like prima facie, it doesn't seem like there should be anything too objectionable from Friedman's perspective. Like the guy has explicitly argued, like he hasn't been like he hasn't been covert about this like Dave Smith is. The guy has explicitly argued that he doesn't believe in the non-aggression principle. He doesn't believe in objective law at all.
Mhm.
So weird to me that this would have, caused issues from Friedman's perspective. But again, I'm sure there's a valid reason for it. I'm just on the surface it seems weird.
Sure, yeah, yeah. So is R2 NEP maximalism? There is another group of libertarians who are similarly confused about the NEP, but in an almost inverse way. These people, Liquid Zulu et al., view the NEP as more than just the principle underlying a legal system. Well, that's what it is. It is a principle underlying a legal system, but law is a subset of ethics. And a political philosophy. Well, again, political philosophy, what's that all about? It's about what you should do, right? It's a part of ethics. But rather a maximum moral prohibition on all actions involving other people and their property, with zero exceptions. Indeed, I do agree with that. That is what I hold. Why do I hold that? Because I hold that law is a subset of ethics, right? And I think that law is an actually just meaningless pursuit. It doesn't actually refer to anything. So I mean meaningless in the literal sense. I don't think that legal philosophy refers to anything if it's not a subset of ethics. Because then, what is the question you're answering? You're no longer answering the question, what should man do with respect to conflicts? You're answering some completely unknown question. It's almost like a stolen concept fallacy of, yeah, no, this is law, and it's just, we all know what law means, and so let's move on with our, it's like, well, hold on, I don't know what law means if it's not a subset of ethics, actually.
Yeah, I have a huge issue just on this, like with the rather than like conjunction in this, because how are these things mutually exclusive? How is it mutually exclusive to call something like a principle underlying a legal system, and then if it's that, it then can't also be a moral prohibition on actions involving other people, and they're like, no, it's both of those things. It's actually one implies the other. It's so forget it being. It's not like forget it not just being mutually exclusive. They're not just intersecting. I'd almost say that they are the same. Like that's what the legal principle is designed to do, is to outline what the prohibitions are on what you can do with other people and their property. That's like that's the entire point of the legal theory. So to say that to state that these two things are in contradiction with one another is like what is worse than just like a slight misunderstanding. It's like treating the two of the identical thing as it's rejecting A as A fundamentally.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. These people admit that the NEP does not say what you should do in all cases. Well, at least finally, he's no longer saying that I have an identity between law and morality. But it does say what you may not do in all cases. Indeed, non-aggression principle. What might that say? It's a principle saying to act non-aggressively. So it says what you may not do. Indeed, it says you may not aggress in all cases. Sorry, my phone just buzzed. Probably some... hold on, my mother is texting me. You feel free to riff.
Oh yeah, so legality is one thing, morality is another. Often they intersect, but not always. So I'm confused about how to pass that statement, because I think what he's getting at is that I'm not even exactly sure how this guy thinks that these two things like intersect, because like what do you mean? Like, so sometimes they intersect. Well, when do they intersect? I guess might be my follow up question. The guy never gives an actual thesis for like when these two, when morality and legality can intersect and when they don't. And so the problem that comes up in this essay, or eventually will come up in this essay, is that sure, he goes ahead and criticizes Zulu. He never offers like a counter thesis, as far as I can recall. Never actually explains why he's what he's correct about. And you don't necessarily always have to offer a positive thesis, but I think it's worthwhile to do in an essay. Um, it's just, you know, legality and morality sometimes intersect. Well, I'd like to know when exactly that is the case, Heyman. That would be really good to know, so I can understand where you're coming from. We can actually criticize your stance on the issue.
Yeah, because this is like, I mean, the first time I heard this was from, I believe, Kinsella, where he says they're intersecting sets rather than one being a subset of the other. But never actually seen the proof in what specific way do they intersect, how do they intersect, when do they intersect, like, and what this would get down to is, okay, well, what is the question that law is answering? Because that would really highlight how they intersect. Because he's saying, legality is one thing, morality is another. Often they intersect, but not always. In this wildly improbable scenario of stealing a penny to save the world, I submit that the moral thing to do is to steal that penny, save the earth, and then admit to the crime, apologize to the victim, make restitution, and hope that they, or appropriate judges or arbiters, take these exigent circumstances into consideration. Now, I think this is completely wild. I mean, I've gone over. It's like, okay, well, I'll just rape, and then I'll just pay restitution, and it's fine. But the thing is that punishment doesn't make it fine. It doesn't undo what you did. It is punishing you for what you did because what you did was wrong. But I do want to highlight something about this, something about the reductio. He's talking about that, well, this is a wildly improbable scenario, and so on and so forth. Indeed, these reductios, they're all wildly improbable. But I just want to sort of, because I was talking to Man Sharma the other day in a VC. It wasn't streamed or anything. We were just chatting shit, basically. And we were like discussing these sorts of hypotheticals. And like, let's actually live in the real world and imagine this literally was happening. Okay, so there is this massive galactic fleet where they must have spent so like quadrillions, zillions, gorillions of dollars equivalent, right? More resources than have ever been acquired by humanity has been spent to move this fleet across the galaxy and arrive at Earth. So these are like unbelievably wealthy aliens, and they come to Earth, and their one request is, hey, you, Liquid Zulu, we want you to steal a penny to say, or else we'll blow up the planet. It's like, okay, so let's look at the different ways in which this is strange. All right. So first, would it be possible for me to steal a penny in this case? Because I submit that there are 0 people on planet Earth who would not be willing to give me a penny. Okay, so then it's impossible for me to steal a penny. So really the scenario is, okay, the aliens come and they're going to blow up planet Earth and there's nothing you can do to stop them. What do you do? It's like, I guess I fucking do nothing then, because I can't do anything. Okay, and so then let's say, okay, there is one person who's particularly pernickety and really wants to keep their penny, which is going to be vaporized in a few moments. Okay, so it would be possible for me to steal that penny, but then I've got to think, like, okay, well, this seems like some sort of a test, because I've already got this thesis in my head that advanced aliens, you can only get that advanced if you're philosophically advanced, if you're ethically advanced. So indeed, if the aliens are saying this, it's like, okay, well, clearly they're fucking testing me here to see if I'll steal the penny. And I say, no, I don't steal the penny. It's like, good job. Welcome to the galactic empire now. Right? Like, this seems very strange. Like, so when you actually bring these examples into the real world, it becomes, you know, how do you actually make it into a valid hypothetical is a very odd thing to actually try and do. You know, it's a lot easier for the most part to say, yeah, bite the bullet, bite the bullet, bite the bullet, right? It's a good habit to get into, to bite bullets. But it's also worthwhile noting that, well, hypotheticals aren't actually tools to discover philosophy, right? That someone bites the bullet, there's the further step you need to do. It's like, okay, well, they bit the bullet, let's analyze their philosophical premises, let's try and make an actual counter-argument here. Whereas these people, it seems like after like the dozens and dozens of arguments I've had on this topic, 99.99% of them, all they can do is give the reductio ad absurdum, and they think that, okay, that's the end of it. Because, you know, I'm an intuitionist, and my intuition says that's crazy. It's just a goofy argument, man. It's like, no, that's actually not how you deal with these things.
Yeah, I had a post about this when the whole like ladder hypotheticals were being tossed around by like Captain and Capistan and all that. And I basically said, like, look, if I'm in a debate with someone, I'm really, really hoping that they refuse to bite a bullet if I do a reductio, because then I can just point out their inconsistency and I win the debate.
Mm.
Okay. But these people are doing the opposite. They hope you bite the bullet because then they think that wins them the debate. And it's like, no, it hasn't. You haven't even started to debunk my argument, let alone fully debunked it. Because if I'm willing to stay consistent, now you actually have to do some actual philosophizing rather than just coming up with absurd hypotheticals. You actually have to get into the nitty gritty and figure out, okay, what's the logically inconsistent, or where's the error in one of my premises, or where's the fallacy that I'm committing, or whatever.
Mm.
Now you have to do that. If I'm willing to bite every single bullet you'll throw at me, now you have to actually do the legwork of coming up with a proper rebuttal to my argument. So that's why I said, like, look, not only is it, just the right thing to do as far as, and, the true conclusion or the true outcome of our arguments to bite all these bullets, not only is it that, it's also the most effective debate strategy because it actually makes people, it forces people to actually confront your arguments head on and examine exactly why, or try to interrogate exactly why you're wrong. Because if you just refuse to bite bullets like Dave did in the fucking Andrew Wilson debate, then you get fucking nuked by people who have even a basic understanding of philosophy, because they can just point out that you're inconsistent and then you look like a retard.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you very much, man, who I was just discussing our conversation before, who gave me 1,000 rupees. Thank you for having an Indian time friendly stream and letting me keep my sleep schedule. Have money for that, brother. Absolutely. Thank you very much for the money. I will be doing more of these daytime streams going forward now that I don't have to spend like 24/7 editing. But yeah.
A couple of people have been saying that they're worried that my testosterone levels are going to collapse because I'm staying up past my bedtime. It's all good. I had a protein shake before we jumped on, so
There you go.
my testosterone levels will be just fine. Hopefully, who knows? Maybe I'll wake up and have lost all my gains, but we'll see.
So yes, anyway, so now he has the final section of the article. A proper understanding of morality and law clears up this confusion. So hopefully, what I want to see him in this section do is expound on specifically what the nature of law is, what does law answer, and therefore how specifically do they intersect. Because we know, according to him, it's not a subset relationship. Okay then. So how specifically do they intersect then? Okay, so I'd love to see more libertarian theorists who have a deep understanding of law. We have the great Enes Kinsella, of course, but we need more. These misunderstandings of what the NEP is are category errors. People misunderstanding the nature of law and that of morality. Okay, so what is the nature of law? In the flagpole scenario, blah, 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 or any NEP maximus, blah, 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 blah. I see these people are confused, sort of trapped in a logic loop. Okay, but what is the nature of law? I freely admit that stealing the penny or grabbing the jerky neighbor's flagpole are crimes for which I'll take my lumps, okay, but say it's moral to do these things. But what is the nature of law? The reason I will stand for my crime is that I have broken the law. And what is the nature of law? Period. And while I think it was justified, I may be justified. Okay, so the nature of law isn't about what is justified. I may be
your justification.
Yeah.
Like that's the next step here. Like
Yeah.
you're hitting it. You're hitting all the key words here. You're just not actually getting to the actual justification.
Yeah. I may be wrong. I'm not omniscient. I can't just shrug and say, yeah, I stole the penny, but for the good cause. So there. Okay. But what is the nature of law? I broke the law. What is the nature of it? And I will plead my case and hope the court sees things that way. But by what standard would they see it that way? Would they look to the nature of law?
And then now you're hoping that the courts are going to side with you, despite the fact that you admitted you broke the law. Like imagine, like I'm just imagining him like standing in court after this is all transpired and saying like, Your Honor, I admit that I broke the law. I plead guilty. Now please find me not guilty because I didn't do anything wrong. Like that's basically what he's arguing here. That's what's going to happen. He's going to admit that he broke the law and then get out of it for whatever reason.
Yeah, so I have just skimmed the rest of it, and I do not actually see him. He's signposted as if it's like these people misunderstand the nature of law and that of morality. To me, that clearly signposts. Okay, so now he's going to talk about the nature of law and morality. It's okay, great. I'm interested to see this. And then he just doesn't. It's like, okay, what the, why did you, he like keeps dancing. It's like he keeps like, he's like blue balling me here. It's like, I claim that this is still justified. It's like, okay, so now he's going to talk about how it's justified, and then he just keeps going. He just keeps like reiterating it. I don't know. Like, I mean, this is just poor scholarship. Like, come
Yeah.
on, man.
What? Yeah, it's just goofy, man.
It's just so
Um,
goofy.
yeah, no, there's no. That's what I said. There's no like argument here that's being offered. Like really, there isn't because yeah, it's just a bunch of theses that are then not backed up by any argument. He doesn't even like point to like, it would be fine if he did what you did, which is like, hey, here's my thesis. You can go read about it here in this article that I wrote, 6
Mm.
months ago or whatever. Here's my thesis, and we could go to that. Like he didn't even do that. He just yeah, just makes his thesis statement in different ways over and over and over again.
Yeah, so I consider this article to be about the same quality as the previous one, which is, it says a lot. Now, thank you very much for Huge Hat Harold for the $20 US. Do you all think there's a coming split between the Kantians and objectivist ANCAPs? Kantian Libertarian seems to be making a takedown video of anarcho-objectivism and its poisoning of Austrian economics. Also, Heil Monhop. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe. Very much. I haven't seen. Maybe Kantian Libertarian makes like banger videos, which I haven't heard of before. But his arguments don't strike me as particularly compelling. But yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, thank you for piling me. I appreciate that. But yeah, no, there's always going to be this split between the Kantians and objectivists,
Mm,
and from my perspective, and this is the point that I've like brought up when we were having because obviously the bordertarian issue has been a big one, or the whole borders thing has been a big one, clearly, because this is kind of why we're all here, right? Is the butterfly effect of that like dispute has like reverberated, right? But yet we were still able to, have conversations with someone like, I made the point on the space the other day about Fabian. He's obviously only recently, converted towards, our position on immigration, but up until very recently he was, a very vociferous supporter of restricted immigration to the point where you guys have debated it at one point.
mm.
Um, and I'm not too sure on what Praxben's stance is. I'm pretty confident he was for restricted immigration at one point. I've because I argued with him about it on an X space. I think he's definitely come around on Dave Smith because at one point, he was kind of arguing in support of Dave at one point. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I just recall having that conversation with him. So I don't know what his stance is, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's still for restricted immigration. Um, but I want to make just on like the Kantian objectivist thing because I think there's like a kind of symmetry here. Our concern isn't with people, from my perspective anyway. I'm sure Zula is going to agree with me. Our concern isn't with people, coming to different conclusions on like remote areas of the applications of the legal theory. Our concern is with people who reject the non-aggression principle and claim to be libertarians. So someone like Hopper or Fabian who came to the conclusion that they did on immigration restriction or Mentis Wave on immigration restriction but will still hold to the NAP and have just, in our opinion, made an error along the way. Like that's less of a concern from my perspective. And while I think the Kantians obviously make an error as far as like, I don't think that they have the proper grounding for the philosophy to then justify the NAP. If they feel like they do, and they're still arguing from the NAP, well, from my perspective, we're all libertarians. So we should all be allied in from the perspective of wanting to spread the philosophy of libertarianism as far as the legal theory goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, this is apparently there was some sort of like explicit ceasefire called in the canteen group chats, which I wasn't aware of until I watched the Tet CX episode on me. Um, but yeah, no, I came to the same conclusion independently that the important thing to focus on right now is Dave Smith and the pragmatism. We need to get the fucking pragmatism out of here. Because ultimately, it's the canteens. They're honest about, like, you ask them if they're a Kantian, they'll tell you they're a Kantian. Like, okay, well, great, now we can discuss that. Whereas the pragmatists, for the most part, they're very sneaky and they'll hide that they're even a pragmatist or that there's even a debate to be had in the first place. And that's what's really very troubling about them.
Yeah, look, my biggest issue with Hopper's position is how it's led to, these people, and it's not even Hopper's fault, but the way it just gets bastardized to the point where, like, I think we were talking about it in a space. I think towards the end, someone asked us, like, hey, like, what's your perspective on Hopper's like system that he advocates for, where you basically have to vouch for an incoming immigrant? And we basically both said, like, look, that would be a vast improvement as far as the US is concerned, but as far as any country on the planet is concerned, pretty much over what they have currently. So it's ironic, right? Because Hopper
Mm-hmm.
is arguing for restricted immigration. In reality, he is, but he's also arguing for a system that would probably be far less invasive than what we have right now. And yet people will take a bastardized version of his argument and use it to justify mass deportations and putting the entire military on the US border. So that's the biggest problem, is the way it's been bastardized, to where, rather than talking about, whether it's justified to have a voucher system where incoming immigrants need to be vouched for by current occupants or current citizens of the United States, whether that's justified or not. We're having a debate about whether you can enact martial law on the US border and still be a libertarian. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just taking the debate in a whole new direction.
Martial law with conscripted armies, of course, would
Yeah,
be.
of course. Yeah.
Dave Smith would be perfectly fine with that, I guess. But thank you very much for
And
the
also where,
20 Australian dollars, connoisseur of cookies. Tragically, we're at a point where it's easier to speak to minarchists more consistent on libertarian principle than alleged ANCAPs, thanks to the likes of Smith. The likes of Stossel and Brooks mock him 90% of the time. Yeah, I'd say that's probably true.
oh
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty undeniable at this point that there's a lot of, I mean, like, yeah, again, Narasta himself, the guy that he debated, he's not an ANCAP, and yet somehow he manages to be better on, a lot of these issues than Dave is.
better on martial law. Just,
Yeah, I
one would
didn't
think
like,
it would be
I never
easy.
thought we'd have this debate.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, we need to advocate for the minimum wage. That's a new one that cropped up
Oh, yeah,
recently
yeah.
on X, is that we need to argue. We can't argue against the minimum wage. Not in present day America. We can't argue for the minimum wage. We can't argue against the minimum wage.
We need to live in the real world, and in the real world, we can't have these. And this was from Jeremiah Harding. We can't have these fucking foreigners coming in replacing us. We need the minimum wage to stop. It's like, geez, Louise.
It just sounds like a straight up like Trumpian like MAGA nativist right
Yeah.
there.
Anywho, so I'm gonna move on to the German ANCAP YouTuber video now. You're welcome to stay if you want, on up. What the hell is going on here? Hello? Oh. Have I cut out? Hello, can the stream still hear me? Oh dear. The heck? Jesus. All good, we can hear you. Okay, yeah, it seems like... Maybe Discord's gone. I can't fucking, like... I think my browser has, crashed a little bit here. I can only see you on the preview there, not